Meghan Trainor and Trisha Paytas, this is not good.
Hey Shelby Bells, it's Shelby. Welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for tuning in for another video. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name's Shelby. I'm the crazy cat lady of the drama community here on YouTube. I bring you the tea 7 days a week with the help of my investigative research team, Mr. and Miss Kitty. Miss Kitty is the brains around here and Mr. Kitty is the face, which sometimes means that he brings us a little bit of clickbait. It's easy to forgive him because he's so cute. So if you like cats and you like tea, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below. Don't forget that all Shelby Bells ring the bell.
Okay, so let's get into this. I'm going to dive right on into this drama because it is a lot. I have a lot to say about this. So recently there was a podcast that Trisha Paytas did with Meghan Trainor. You guys know Meghan Trainor, singer, whatever, pop singer, girly of the world. And she, there was a lot of juicy little tidbits in this podcast that I pulled and I have little screen recordings of, and I potentially am going to be making videos about all of them and YouTube shorts on all of them, so stay tuned for that. But this one is kind of by far the most talked about thing that happened in that podcast, and I thought we should talk about it. So Meghan Trainor and Trisha Paytas. First of all, before I get really too far into this thing, I'm not casting any judgments or whatever, but Meghan Trainor has really, she seems to really kind of like go hard for Trisha. She seems to be like kind of like a stan for Trisha Paytas of sorts, and it makes me wonder like how much she actually knows about Trisha, and you know, like what, like if she watches videos about her, if she watches drama channels, if she is really kind of like actually in this community to know the things that Trisha Paytas has actually done, because she kind of goes really hard for her, and it's very rare. And I'm just saying this very matter-of-factly, it's very rare that you have somebody out there going hard for Trisha Paytas and really kind of standing them these days. A lot of people, they kind of steer clear. They kind of don't really get involved when it comes to Trisha because of Trisha's past and because of things she's said and done and the trouble that associates yourself when you are associated with Trisha. And this situation was actually no different. And I think that Meghan Trainor is kind of learning the hard way, because she had Trisha Paytas on her podcast, and like I said, there was tons of juicy tidbits, and I will get to them possibly in other videos and shorts because I found them honestly pretty interesting. But I'm debating with myself on if I want to go there. Honestly, I'm debating with myself on if I want to go there. I'm really happy over here in my little corner, not really talking about her, and I like it over here. So I'm trying to see if I want to open myself back up to that in a bigger way by making more than, you know, one video about her in the span of a few weeks. But anyway, we'll see. I'm still debating that. But the thing that everyone is talking about is what happened when Trisha Paytas and Meghan Trainor started talking about teachers and schooling. So I'm going to go ahead and roll you the clip to that. Roll it.
Teachers, watch this.
No, but
We're
I mean,
homeschooling our kids.
same. I think everyone should,
Yeah,
like,
we all, everyone on TikTok is. I have a kid in school in America. I have a bulletproof backpack. I was like, fuck all that.
like that, but also kids can be
Bullying.
mean. Teachers, that was my trauma.
Teachers.
Teachers,
Fuck
and
teachers,
you know,
dude.
but then also, yeah,
Damn. I don't expect that much from Trisha Paytas because she's just always living her life in some sort of problematic state. But with Meghan Trainor, that sucked. The story that they're telling right before this is about how when her husband was in school after being in Spy Kids, that the principal made this big deal and caused a lot of trauma for her husband. And I get that there are teachers that cause trauma, and I get that there are awful teachers, but that's not the majority. Those are not the majority of cases for the majority of kids. And we're already in a very anti-teacher place. So the disconnect with reality is just really apparent and sad. You heard this part of the segment and didn't edit it out. I just don't get it. When you have a following that large and you are that much of a celebrity, everything that you say is very important. And right now, teachers are already getting enough shit for shit that they didn't even do. I just feel like this is a really gross miss from Meghan Trainor, which really sucks. There are two artists on this app that I really like love, and that's Meghan Trainor and Lizzo. Lizzo, please don't say any fucked up shit about teachers. Thank you. And I even get the whole wanting to homeschool. If that's something that you want to do, especially as a celebrity, if that's something that you feel like is best for you and your family, go for it. But why are we just throwing teachers under the bus in a blanket? Like a whole fuck teachers? It was really in poor taste.
As you can imagine, when Meghan Trainor said F teachers, it really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way for a lot of reasons. Because the biggest thing that I think is relevant and prevalent in today's society, at least here in the United States, is that these teachers are putting themselves on the line and their own lives at risk every single day for your children, for children out there, because schools, unfortunately, because of the laws and stuff in our country right now, are not the safest place for our children. And that is really, really unfortunate. I think that as a parent, I'm not a parent, but I feel like if I was a parent to a child and I had to send them to a public school, because that's what I would have to send my child to. If I had a kid, they would be going to public school, and they'd be going to the public school in the area that I live in, which I know for a fact the area I live in isn't that bad. But when you get to like the high school, the area I live in over here and all that, the high school is not good over here. The elementary school is pretty good. The junior high, not really, So like the area I live in now, side note, I actually lived in this area when I was in elementary school because the school was good that it was zoned to. And then in middle school, we moved to a suburb because that had a really good public middle school for me to go to. And then in high school, we moved back to a different little area of Houston for high school because the high school was good, right? The public high school was good. So like my mom moved us for a couple different reasons, but she always made sure that I went to like a good public school. But I'll be honest, like if I had a kid right now, like by the time they got to middle school, if I still lived in this area, like I would be concerned about them going to school all the time. I would be a little scared because they're not the safe. I mean, they're just not I don't know. Do you guys know where I'm going with that? Like, and the thing also is that you can't even really base how good the education they're going to get in the ratings on if the school will be safe or not, because you really just can't ever predict when a situation will happen that's, puts your child in danger like that at a school, because they happen so frequently here in the United States right now that it's just scary. And so for you to say F teachers, when they're the ones that are in the building protecting your kids if something goes wrong, and they are trained to put themselves before the person and to put the children like first, to save the children. Why are you saying F teachers, dude? So that's one big thing, right? But then you also get into the fact that teachers are severely underpaid and undervalued for all of the work they do for our youth. Okay, like teachers, they make so many sacrifices for the children that they teach. Okay, they spend their own money making sure the kids have supplies, especially if you teach in like a lower income area. Teachers spend so much money to make sure that their kids have the supplies they need. Teachers have to fund their own classroom decorations and stuff like that. They have to do all of that themselves. Every time your kid, has a fun, exciting thing outside of a normal curriculum at school, like an ice cream day or like whatever, the teachers pay for that themselves. Like they sacrifice so much. They sacrifice their time because they have to grade papers and do that kind of stuff outside when they're off work. They sacrifice, their safety, their money, all of that to make sure your children are okay. And so for you to say F teachers is a huge slap in the face to everyone who teaches. It's a huge slap in the face. And it's also a very privileged remark to make all these comments about how your kids will never be in public school and you're always going to homeschool your children. And you know what? To Meghan and Trisha, if your choice is to homeschool your children and you have the funds to do that and the means to do that, you are very, very blessed and privileged, and more power to you, honestly. More power to you. I don't think that anybody on the planet here is coming after you specifically because you say you want to homeschool your children. That's not the problem. It's the fact that you are disrespecting and downplaying the role that teachers have in so many children's lives when the parents can't afford or don't have the means to homeschool somebody. Because to homeschool a child, you either have to be at home with the child all the time, which a large vast majority of parents are not able to be home with their children all the time. It's just the truth. Because in a lot of households, I don't know percentage or anything, but a lot of households in America, especially these middle class, lower income households, both parents have to work. Right? And so they don't have the privilege of that. And say like you had to work, if you didn't have, sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. If you had to work and you had the funds, if you work at home, if you work all the time, right? And you want to homeschool your child, then you would have to hire a teacher to come in and teach your child. So you'd have to have the money to fund that kind of thing. When sending your child to public school isn't completely free because there's supplies and there's like lunch money and there's like other things associated with it. But for the most part, there's not huge costs associated with sending your child to school. I mean, that's not a very true statement because you have uniforms and supplies and food and all these things. Yeah, but it's a different type of cost associated with it. And it's just a very privileged mindset to say F teachers, I'm going to send my kids to homeschool, whatever. And I think that, if that's the way that she feels because of her history with teachers and whatever, you're entitled to have your opinion on what you want to have. And maybe the statement was kind of said, actually, before we get into that, Meghan Trainor, she did issue an apology. I think the apology is pretty, I think we need to listen to it. So I'm going to roll it for you. But anyway, roll it.
Teachers of TikTok and teachers of the world, I recently said F teachers on a podcast, and it's not how I feel. I was fired up because we were talking about how sending your kid to school here in America is so horrific, and what all of us have to go through, but especially teachers, is not normal and not okay. I had Trisha Paytas on the podcast, and I knew her history with her teachers. And I knew my husband's history with his teachers, and I was bullied by some teachers. So in that moment, I got angry and said, F teachers, F those specific human beings back in the day. But I did not mean that to all teachers. I love teachers. I fight for teachers. I think they have the hardest job, and they're the most underpaid. They're the most unappreciated when they literally raise all of us. I don't want to make excuses. I'm just so sorry. I'm so sorry to any teachers who I make feel bad. And I will remind myself that my words definitely could have a consequence. And I will be more careful. Love you all so much. I'm so sorry again. Thank you all for helping me.
So she apologizes. She says she appreciates teachers. She knows the sacrifice, all of that thing. She says all of that, right? I just feel that it was a really bad remark. And I feel like if she has a personal history with a teacher that made her think of teachers in a weird way, that's her experience, whatever. But it's a little negligent and not okay, I don't believe, so at least, to speak negatively about teachers and the education system like that on a big public platform like that. I just don't think it's appropriate. And I think you're asking to get backlash from that when you do that. This is the first real big drama that I've ever seen Meghan Trainor involved in. And I'm not sure if it's because she decided to associate herself with Trisha Paytas or if whatever, because if I can be quite honest, after watching this podcast, Meghan and Trisha, I don't know. I just feel like I never really was a Meghan Trainor stan. I don't really care about Meghan Trainor at all. But if she really does feel the way she feels about Trisha and not even just based off these teacher comments, but of other things she said in this podcast, I feel like she might just be kind of like, I feel like the situation with her might be that she just hasn't been exposed for a lot of things that maybe would get her canceled yet. And we'll see if she learns to shut her mouth after this, or if she keeps opening her mouth and there's a lot more backlash that comes with it. Because one thing I've learned in celebrity news and gossip and drama and stuff is that it really only takes like one time for people to start, you know, getting that negative vibe about you, and then the people, they will go out and they will dig and they will dig and they will find and they will do all these things. So we're gonna see what happens with that. I have no idea, but I know that I really didn't like those comments that she made about the teachers. So that's that. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about Meghan Trainor and Trisha Paytas' podcast and Meghan Trainor's apology. I'd love to hear from you. And aside from that, that's going to be it for today's video, you guys. If you did enjoy it, make sure you give me a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel down below. Don't forget to ring the bell so you're notified of all my future videos when they do post. Remember that all Shelby bells ring the bell. And yeah, if you enjoyed today's video, YouTube should be suggesting a couple more down here for you to choose from, so I'd love it if you did that. Aside from that, I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.